What started on the drawing board became a trophy. Engineers at Federal Premium Ammunition designed the trophy-bonded tip bullet to deliver devastating, bone-crushing performance. With a translucent polymer tip and boat tail design, Trophy Tip provides flatter trajectories and improved accuracy. Plus, a solid copper shank jacket and bonded core mean high weight retention and deep penetration. Trophy Bonded Tip from Federal Premium Ammunition. Claim your trophy.
Live from the Deer and Deer Hunting headquarters here in Iowa, Wisconsin. Welcome to Wednesday. Welcome once again to Deer Talk Now. We have a special day in store for you today as I welcome back a very good friend and now co-worker, Gordy Cron, to the Deer and Deer Hunting fold. Gordy, welcome aboard.
Well, I'm glad to be back, and it's kind of funny. It almost feels like we're putting the band back on the road. We worked together years ago, but you know, rather than some hair band playing their old tunes from the 80s, we got a whole new repertoire, all new material.
Absolutely.
It's going to be great.
It's awesome to have you back, Gordy. And for those of you who don't know Gordy, Gordy worked here at F&W Krause Publications many years ago as the editor-in-chief of Trapper and Predator Caller magazine, did some of the very first videos in the industry about trapping and predator hunting. Gordy moved on to bigger things at the North American Hunting Club, where you had been for the past 15 years. Gordy, right. I know you experienced a lot over there. Maybe you can give everybody just a little snapshot of what you experienced over the past 15 years.
Well, I was over at North American for 15 years, as you say, and in that time, I did get to experience a lot of travel, a lot of exotic hunts. I mean, we're a multi-species magazine, so I got to do it all. You know, predator hunting, turkey hunting, bird hunting, whitetail hunting. Africa, Russia. So I got to do some really cool travel. But, you know, I've always said that I know that I've got a good job because I spend all my vacation time doing the same thing I do at work. And for me, it's my dogs. I take my Brittany's all over the place in the fall, and I'm going to continue to do that. But now my focus is going to be on whitetails, and I couldn't be more happy about that.
And that's, like we kind of said, it's kind of coming back to circle for you.
It is.
What I've always admired is you grew up deer hunting much in the same way that I did.
Right.
Big woods, public land, hunting deer the hard way.
Yep.
And now, you know, you had some of those experiences. What are some of the things maybe you learned, you know, getting to hunt all these different species and all over the country, and how does that relate to those days when you first started hunting in northern Minnesota?
Well, again, I think it all comes full circle. You take what you learned as a young hunter, as a child, and you take that into your adulthood and you apply all that. But then it just becomes, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And it doesn't really matter what species you're hunting. You're just out there hunting, you're learning from other people, you're learning from reading, you're watching videos. I think it's just an accumulation of knowledge. And I just got a call from my 87-year-old dad the other night, and he just bought his deer license, so you know where cool. I'm going to be during the Minnesota Open.
That is awesome.
It is.
Gordy, we are just tickled pink to have you back on staff here and working, and a lot of really interesting things and neat things that are coming up, not only in Deer and Deer Hunting magazine, which you got to get the new October issue. We talked about this. The October issue is on newsstands right now. It's got the rut predictions in there. Do not miss it. It's the October, it's issue number 5 for this year. November's coming next, but get that. But Gordy's going to be contributing on the magazine, on the website, on the TV shows. We got so much in store that we got a lot of things that you're going to really learn and enjoy with Gordy on board here. But Gordy, let's get to Deer Talk. This is brand new for you.
It is.
We do this every week, and that's all we do is we talk about deer hunting. Everybody loves it. We're trying to get as many questions from the viewers in as possible, and we open that up, and everybody, please, the Facebook page, the Deer and Deer Hunting Mag Facebook page, the Twitter page, our Pinterest account is getting questions, Google Plus is getting questions. You ask them, We'll try to answer them. If we answer them, you're going to get a prize pack from Deer and Deer Hunting. Today's prizes for the questions we're going to give out are the 2015 daily calendars, and that has been a favorite among everybody. This you put on your office desk, you peel it off. It's got a great color photo and a factoid for every day.
Awesome.
Everybody's going to get one of those. The first thing we should talk about, though, is Monday. Now, there are some deer seasons in play right now. Florida has already started. There's some other places. But Monday, we got places like Wyoming, Nebraska, North Dakota. I'm heading there next week for my first bow season.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I'm going to be up with Heart J Outfitters and Chris Jorday. It's way up there in the northern part of North Dakota near Minot. Big Air Force base there. But I'm going to get my bow season started there. And one thing that we had been talking off air is I just started my running regiment just to get in shape for hunting season. And Gordy, this is something you helped teach me a long time ago, is if you're fit, especially during hunting season, it's going to make you a better hunter. How do you approach coming into bow season and getting prepared for it so you're ready and that you're going to have a good hunting season?
Well, I think it's really important to prepare for the season. And it's no big mystery, you know, it's diet and exercise. That's what keeps you in good shape. And as we get just a little bit older, you know, it requires a little more work. And I probably start a little bit earlier every year preparing first for bow season. And I do it a lot of the same way you do it. I do some running, I work out in the gym. I'm really crazy about watching my diet because I think any extra weight you put on is going to weigh you down, and you really need to stay fit if you're going to continue to hunt. And I want to continue hunting until I'm an old man. I want to be out there like my dad. When he's 87, I want to still be able to do it. And I just started shooting my bow now in preparation for seasons. And that's another thing, is to work the muscles that you're going to use for bow hunting. I was in a car accident I guess it's been about 8 or 10 years ago now, and I injured my right shoulder very severely. In fact, I could not pull back my bow for 2 years. So I was beginning to wonder if I was ever going to be able to bow hunt again. But through exercise and reconditioning my shoulder, I don't pull as much weight as I used to, but I can pull back my bow and I can shoot again. So every year I start out, you know, trying to shoot lots of arrows and build up the muscle memory. And then what I like to do is go to the range, and I only shoot maybe a dozen arrows, but I try to get into a hunting mindset that every arrow I'm shooting from any distance or any angle is a shot on a living animal. I try not to become complacent. It's just like the guys that go to the rifle range and just practice off the bench, and they seem to get a lot of thrill out of shooting really small groups and everything. But what good is that really going to do you in the whitetail woods? You need to practice from the shooting positions that you're going to use in the field. And it's the same with bow hunting. You want to practice from different distances. One thing I do is I'll do wind sprints. I'll run around in circles, and then I'll run to the 30-yard marker and try to slow down my breathing and then take the shot. I'm kind of fortunate at my archery range. There's a berm that runs alongside of the target, so I can sprint up the hill, you know, sneak in on the deer and take the shot. So not only does it prepare you for those occurrences in the field, but it also makes practice a lot more fun.
That's really good points, and we do a lot of the same things. Especially what you're talking about is just breath control and controlling. I do the same thing at home. We have a berm in the back of our house, and kind of the same thing. As I'll run up to my spot and I'll shoot one arrow. Now, it's not the same. A point that you made is the shooting positions.
Right.
You have to practice out of a tree stand. If you're a tree stand hunter, you better be practicing out of a tree stand, at least some right now, because it is, like you said, it is nice to sit back there and pack arrow after arrow into that target, 25, 30 yards, and you got these tight groups, but you're standing.
Right.
How many guys are spotting and stalking while they're bow hunting? Not many.
Not many.
So then what I'll do is, you know, every shooting session I have it's a short ladder stand. It's a 12-foot ladder stand, not the same height, which does have its own problems. But, you know, I'm normally hunting 20 feet, but just those angles. Right. One shot into the target. If I'm off, I got to figure out, is my anchor point off?
Right.
Am I, you know, I shoot sitting down. 99% of the deer I shoot are sitting down, so I have to practice shoot. It's a different anchor point.
Right.
Some really good points there. And it's just as far as the exercise and the diet, like you said, it wears you out, especially if you really like to hunt.
Yep.
And now you're September, everybody's gung-ho, and you get out there and you're fine, but October, November, you get to the rut, and now you're looking at those days where you should be hunting dark to dark. That's where it's going to really catch up with you.
You need the stamina. And another thing I'm going to mention on shooting positions is I've got another thing I have to deal with, and I think a lot of hunters do, and that I'm not afraid of heights, but I'm not very comfortable with heights. I remember coming over here a few years back, and you said, yeah, I'll set up a stand for you. And I went out there in the dark the first morning, and you explained where the stand was. I found it, no problem. I climbed up into it. It must have been 30 feet up in a tree. And it was leaning out a little bit. There was nothing around. And I was very uncomfortable. And I have to deal with that too, just getting comfortable with the heights. And practicing under those circumstances is very important for me.
There's so much involved. It's not only the shot, but now you got the adrenaline of a deer. It might be a nice buck standing there in front of you, and everything's got to come into play. So, those are some of the things that you need to keep in mind. The other thing is, one thing you mentioned, as we get older, I'm shooting the Matthews Creed XS. It's an awesome bow. If you have that thing torqued out at 70 pounds, you could be really shooting some good distances. I don't. I got that thing down to 55 pounds. And there's nothing wrong with that. And actually what I found is when I've gone low, because I have the same problems with my shoulders, the lower the weight, I've shot much, much better. So it's just talking about, or it's getting your comfortable range. Mine is 40 yards or under, and sticking to that range. And not thinking that I'm going to, be 25 years old again shooting 60 yards. It's not going to happen.
And it's not necessary. I shoot a Matthews Helium, and mine's set at 50 pounds. Yeah, I could pull back 55. I could pull back 60 possibly. But when you got that adrenaline going, you got extra clothing on. You don't want to. Last thing you want to do is be up in a tree, and we've all done it. You cannot get your bow back.
Get the bow back,
Or you're using, like you say, all that movement to get the bow back. You want to be able to draw, very smoothly, and having the bow crank down is going to help you achieve that.
Some really good, I don't want to even say common sense, but it's tips that people know, but you kind of forget about it with the excitement of bow season coming up. So, that's some really good information. Let's get to, before we get to the questions, I want to talk about our store specials for today, because we have two of them. The first one, this is kind of cool. This is a small product that we got in the store, and we got this just for the deer and deer hunting diehard guys who like keeping journals. This is called, Tyler's going to show you a picture of it. Simple product. It's called Right in the Rain Pocket Journal. This is for the guys who either want to take notes while they're on stand, keep this in your backpack. A lot of people, I do stuff on my iPhone, but let's face it, you don't want to take a $500 iPhone and be out there in the rain trying to take notes on it. This is a pocket journal. It's $5.95. It's rainproof paper, which I didn't even know existed. And you can keep this in your backpack, your fanny pack, take notes, whether it's hunting locations, whether it is deer sightings, because we all like to keep that information, log it when we get back home. It's something you can keep in your pack all year long. It's only $5.95. Get it at Shop Deer Hunting right now. The model, or the number you want to punch in that search is T as in Tom 6450. That's going to take you right to the notebook. You can pick one of those up today. The other thing that we want to talk about, because we've got some more of these in stock. We sold them all out. Everybody liked them so much, is the Elevator portable lift from Viking Solutions. Our friends the Wallers used to have some at tree stands. They started Viking Solutions. This is one of their hottest new products. It's called the Elevator. Essentially what it is, this thing folds flat. You keep this in the back of your pickup truck. And when you shoot a deer, I've had back problems. To get that thing in a truck, sometimes it's going to throw your back out. This thing is awesome. Basically, it folds out together. You put the platform down. Tyler's going to show you a video on this. You roll the deer on top of that platform. It's got a little winch crank that lifts the deer straight up, and you can push the deer right in the back of a pickup truck, ATV, whatever. It's an awesome product. It's on sale now. We just got these restocked, so if you want one before deer season, get it today, because these have been selling like crazy. We have them on sale for $119. It's a great investment that might save you an injury down the road here when you think that you can pull that deer on there, and then you don't, and you hurt yourself.
And chiropractors aren't cheap.
No, they're not. That's probably your copay there, right. That you're going to pay for the Elevator. Gordy, we're going to get to a few questions.
Sure.
These came in, like I said, from all over the place. I'm going to give you the first one. And this is a hybrid question we added to this question. This is from Jessica Floyd. Jessica is from North Carolina. Thank you, Jessica, for writing the question today. And be sure, everybody who I answer, or one of us answers your question, you have to send me an email, dan.schmidt@fwmedia.com. I will forget otherwise. Send me an email. We're going to get you out your prize today, which is the Whitetails Daily Calendar. Gordy, Jessica asks, she wants to know how she can keep black bears away from her tree stands. But the bigger question is, what are the impacts of predators on whitetails in various regions across the country? And I know you have a lot of experience with this.
Well, I guess drawing from personal experience, I do a lot of my deer hunting back home up in northern Minnesota, and we have a huge wolf problem up there. I mean, we've got coyotes, we've got black bears, we've got wolves, we've got a few mountain lions, so we do have a lot of large predators. And I guess my opinion is that if your deer herd is healthy, if you got a healthy deer herd, you know, these animals have got to eat. They'll take a certain amount of the population, but I don't think they have a very large overall effect on the population. But in localized areas, wolves can come in and wipe out a lot of deer. And what we've seen on our hunting land is that the wolves move in. It's not that they're killing off all the deer, it's that they're killing some deer, and those remaining deer are just hunkering down. I mean, we can do deer drives and not push deer out of the woods, even though we are positive.
You know there's deer there.
We know they're there, but we cannot get them to move. They are terrified. I had a really interesting experience up there last year. I went up Friday night like I always do to hunt the opener, and there was a strip of corn that had gotten left, which is very unusual for up there. Usually it's all harvested by then. And there were deer tracks everywhere, and I thought, this is gonna be golden. So I climb up in my ladder stand the first morning right on the field edge, and I sit there all morning, and I see one doe and one little buck, terrified, just sneaking by through the woods. I'm going, what the heck's going on? So I sat there in the evening too, still no deer, and I'm thinking, there's gotta be deer here. I'm seeing the sign, the deer are here. Maybe they're crossing the field a little farther down. So the next morning, I forget about the stand. I walk down the field edge in the dark, and there's this little grassy slough that comes out into the field. So I just hunker down in that. The grass is up about this high, and I'm on my shooting sticks and just waiting for it to get light. And it was just getting gray light, and I heard this coming up the field edge.
I think, here comes a deer.
Here comes a deer. So I get the gun up, and I'm just getting into position, and I catch movement out of the corner of my eye, and this great big wolf comes walking right by me at 6 yards.
Holy mackerel.
And I mean, talk about the hair standing up on the back of your neck. And it was creepy because the wind was in my face, and I'd walked in through the slough grass. There's no way he could wind me. And when he got past me, he just stopped, and he just looks around like that. It's like he sensed me. And it was pretty creepy.
That's kind of a spooky
But going back to your question, I think when you've got those big predators like that, I think it's going to have a localized effect on the population. We don't really have to deal with black bears a lot up there during the gun season because they're hibernating by then. And you know, coyotes, they take their share of deer as well. I think I just read recently that a coyote typically takes a fawn about once every 2 weeks. So do the math, you know, if you got a lot of coyotes, they're taking some deer out.
And you know, I know, especially where Jessica is down there in North Carolina, there's parts of Florida, they're really having some serious black bear problems. What can you do about it? Well, it depends. I would think that if you are in a state where you can feed or bait or something like that, I would recommend trying some different tactics. Maybe hunting on the periphery of those feeding areas rather than right over the feeding areas. It's not easy. There's no easy solution if you have a localized predator problem. I would just say you're going to have to dig deeper into your bag of tactics and try and maybe hunt in some bedding areas or some transition areas or some other way to get around that. Because if you're in an area where especially if bears are attracted to that area for whatever reason, like Gordy said, you've got to figure out a way to maybe try to mix things up, and because you know the deer are there, you're going to have deer. It's just a matter of maybe trying some different tricks or tactics to get around that. That's a great question, Jessica. Thank you. Please email me. We're going to get you your calendar out. I'm going to take the next question here, and I recognize this name. This is Ryan Bauer of Wisconsin. Ryan is a longtime deer and deer hunting subscriber and a fan and a supporter on the website. But Ryan wants to know, we're going to tag team this question.
Okay.
Can you run too many trail cameras on a property, even if you practice a low impact approach and don't check them out that often? It's a great question. It's something we deal with a lot. What I would say is, yes, you can run too many cameras.
I'd agree.
I know that there's small properties where you could put out, I mean, like a 40-acre parcel, you could put out 4 or 5 cameras preseason and get a really good census of what you have there. But no matter how much we try to preach saying you have to take a scent-free approach and wear rubber boots and spray yourself down and go in the middle of the day, you're still leaving scent out there.
You are.
And you are going to affect things depending on the pressure that property has.
Absolutely. I think you can overdo it, and you can check them too often. I mean, it's hard not to. It's like going on a treasure hunt. You go out there and you check your trail cams, and you want to see what bucks are using and how they're using your property. But yeah, I agree with you, Dan. I think you can overdo it. You're always going to leave not only some scent, but those deer are seeing you come in and out of there. And it's probably going to affect the way they use the property. And then what you're doing is you're probably doing exactly what you don't want to be doing, because you've set up your trail cams where you think the deer are probably, the highest deer traffic is. And that's where you're going to set up your stands. If you're actually pushing those deer out of those areas, you're having a very negative impact.
A negative impact, and it depends upon your property. If you have a small property, now you kind of hamstrung yourself. Yep. That, especially mature bucks. Yeah, we always preach this. A mature buck's home area is going to be his home range. His core area is going to be his core area. But it's like I always tell everybody, it's like I came into your living room and took your couch and put it in the basement. Well, you're not in the living room anymore for a while. You're going to be in the basement. And I think the same thing with deer.
I think there are a lot less invasive approaches you can take, and one would be glassing. From half a mile, 3/4 of a mile away, you can get a pretty good idea of how deer are coming onto a field, leaving fields. You can get a pretty good idea what bucks are in your area without actually going in there and disturbing.
Excellent point, Gordy, and that's another thing that I preach is, I personally take a way different approach to trail cameras than most guys do. When I'm using them is, I use it as a tool. If I see a deer on there, great, camera's gone, I'm not touching it anymore. Yeah. What else do I need to know? I know there's X, Y, Z deer there. Yep. Or there are a caliber of deer there. I don't need any more pictures.
Right.
It's, like you said, it's addicting. I mean, you love to get pictures, and you almost get infatuated with getting more pictures and want to see exactly what that deer's got going on. It's a mature buck, good enough for me, I don't care. And I'm going to get in there. A lot of times I'll pull those cameras before the season even starts, just for that reason.
But they, like you say, they are a great tool. And another less invasive way to use them is use the video function on them. Set it up on a green field or an agricultural field and just run the video. Then you can get a very good idea of how the deer and where the deer are coming onto the field.
Great scouting tactic.
Yeah.
Gordy just actually got a calendar for somebody here, because somebody asked that.
All right.
Steve Sorensen from Pennsylvania, you're getting a bonus daily calendar just because Gordy addressed the video function on cameras. That's what Steve wanted to know. He said best way to use video mode versus photo mode, and that is one of them. That's a good way of, instead of doing your long distance scouting, you can do it that way.
Right.
And mostly before the season. Let's try to get to one more question here, Gordy, because I know we got to go here. We're running a little bit over. Excellent question here from Jack, and I'm going to butcher your last name, Jack, so please forgive me. Jack Bungen from...
Jack B.
Jack B, thank you, from Facebook. Jack wants to know, can you give me some tips on how to hunt high pressure areas, especially on public land, without doing deer drives?
I think that goes back to physical fitness. It does for me. I'm one of those guys that takes great pride in out hiking the competition. And on vast properties, and public land properties, I think that's what you need to do. You need to get away from the masses. And that means hiking in 2 miles, 3 miles. I think that's what you need to do. It means you have to leave extra early. You're going to come out in the dark. But I think you just need to get back in where the animals are comfortable. It goes for you know, coyote hunting, deer hunting, turkey hunting. You know, most people are not going to go any more than a mile in from any given road. They just don't feel.
They go a mile and they go 100 yards.
That's right. They're just not comfortable going any farther. And with GPSs and maps and everything, it's so easy to do that nowadays. But it still takes the desire to do it. And I think you just have to man up and hike it out.
It's a good point. And the only thing I could add to what Gordy said there is not only going that extra distance, but staying the extra time. It's not fun. I mean, those 11-hour days in the woods can be brutal, especially if you're putting one after another. But the longer you stay out there, you already put yourself in the position to hunt deer that aren't as pressured. Stay in those middle hours of the day. You're going to increase your odds.
And remember this as well. You've got other hunters all around you that are coming out of their stands. And what do you think happens when those deer or those hunters come out? The deer are moving. They're moving back in. You're in a perfect ambush spot.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jack. Be sure to email me. Everyone who we asked answered their question, we're going to get you out your prize pack. That's it for this week. Very glad to have Gordy back on board here, and a lot of cool things in store. For Gordy Cron, I'm Dan Schmidt, Tyler Dahlman. Thank you for joining us for Deer Talk Now. Join us again here next week for another episode.